everybody. Welcome to Mediumship by Picasso. My name is Picasso Roberts, and I so appreciate you hitting up this YouTube channel. You have stepped right into my Getting to Know You series. And today I have a very special guest and colleague of mine, Jen Carey. Do you want to go by Jen or Jennifer?
Jen is great.
Jen. Okay. Jen Carey. And Jen is a psychic medium and author, almost a two-time author, but we'll talk about that, right? So I just want to say, step on in, grab your cup of tea, grab your glass of wine, your cup of coffee, whatever, and then hunker down while we have this chat. It's really cool. It's a great way to get to know Jen and get to know what's going on in her life. And I just want to get you to say hello, Miss Jen.
Well, hello, everyone. And Picasso, thanks for asking me to do this. I'm very excited and very proud of you for stepping out of the box and doing something so new and exciting for you. And I'm glad to be here.
Jen, I am so far out of the box, I can't even see the box anymore. That's
okay, because the best things happen that way. As we know.
It really is. It's one of those things when you hear spirit, and spirit's like, just freaking jump, just jump. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's a blind trust. Blind trust.
Go. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's blind trust. So, and it's so funny when I have a small place, you can see my background, but when I look this direction is my kitchen, and on my refrigerator, a big old fat sign that says trust, just in case I forget, you know. So I'm going to go through my little bitty questions. I always check in with spirit, just for those listeners. I always check in with spirit to just kind of give me an idea of what Jen needs to get out there for you guys. And so we know kind of where to go and what's going on with her and her life. And I'm impressed. First, I want to start with where you're from. I think you're in New Jersey, right?
Yes, I am in New Jersey, born and raised in New Jersey, and then spent some years in Pennsylvania. And now I'm back home in southern New Jersey. I live at the beach and I love it.
Now, is that like Jersey Shores, or is that?
I'm south of Jersey Shore. I'm in the Cape May area.
Okay. All right. That's your last stop, or?
Well, you never know where life is going to bring you, but I love it here. I'm comfortable here, but you never know where life is going to bring you.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's very, very true. And then do you have siblings there?
I have no siblings. No, but I do have family. I'm an only child. I do have family relatively close. And, my kids are just a bridge away. So, I'm not, alone down here. My boyfriend lives, a half hour north, and, it's just it's a great fit for the moment.
Right. That's a respectable distance. That's great. And then you have 3 kids, if I remember right.
Yes. 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 I have a daughter. She's 25 and she lives in Pennsylvania. My middle child is a son, and he and his girlfriend just took the leap at blind trust and moved to Florida, Sarasota. So they both started over down there and they're loving it. I do miss him, but I'm proud of them both for taking that step. And then my youngest son is in college. He's a psychology major and he lives in Pennsylvania as well. He spends summers here because he works at the Jersey Shore. So, he's got his life kind of planned out, what he wants to do. And he's a good kid. He's very empathic and very intuitive like myself. So, but yeah, 3 good kids.
Sweet. So along those lines of being an empath, you're a psychic and you're a medium and you're a Reiki master, master teacher, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, and we know you're an author, and we want to talk about that in just a second. Are your gifts, are they, I want to say, is it generational? Did you have family that were the same way?
It's funny you mentioned that, because I just talked about this in a class I taught last night. People didn't talk about this kind of stuff, when I was growing up. But I know that my grandmother was very intuitive. Like, I couldn't get away. I was raised by my grandparents. I couldn't get away with anything. And she just always knew, like, if I was having an issue and I wasn't talking about it. I mean, it was nothing talked about. She was real big on remedies, like home remedies for earaches and fevers. So I do think that, she had the gift. But again, it wasn't really talked about. And that's why I kind of kept it quiet through my childhood, because it was just something that I felt, wasn't discussable at that age.
When did it start for you?
Yeah, I sense spirit. Like, I think my earliest memory is like, 7, 8 years old. And, I just had this, I always, was overwhelmed with a lot of people or crowds. I never really had a ton of friends, didn't like to hang in big groups. And then sensed spirit, I was never really a visual or a seer or clairvoyant. But I always sensed spirit. And I always felt guided. But again, you didn't want to talk about that. I always had a connection with older people versus people my age. And now looking back, I know that that's signs of intuitive children. But again, I pushed it away through my teenage years because I wanted to be a rebel. And I was very rebellious in my teenage years. And I think a lot of that is, not knowing what to do with all the things I felt. So I was very rebellious in my teenage years. And it wasn't until adulthood that I started exploring things, when spirit got loud enough for me to not ignore. And I find that's very typical with a lot of people that, discover things in their childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It's a very good point that you make, that kids that are, or younger people that are drawn to elders more, that they would have that intuitive side of themselves. That's interesting. I never, it didn't click for me, but it's true. Yeah.
It's like the old soul, children that have a lot of gifts are often old souls, and, they're just more connected to people on their level. And like the silly teenage stuff and the kid, I just enjoyed playing alone. I had one or two really good friends that I'm still really good friends with in adulthood, and they kind of got me. And they're very similar to me in a lot of ways as far as intuitive and, gifted. So it's kind of like you find your people even at a young age, and you kind of go through life with them. But, I never had time for the drama, the silly kid stuff. I was always more connected. I loved spending time with my grandparents and their little group. And I just felt more safe in that energy,
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And
Yeah.
what would you say your most comfortable clair is? We have all the, the however many clairs we have: the clairsentient, clairvoyant, clairaudient, all of that.
I'm very claircognizant. Like, I just have a knowing. Like, even when I do mediumship readings, it's like drop-ins, it's like downloads. And once in a while I have, flashes of like pictures of what they look like, or just sometimes I get the smell, but I'm very claircognizant. It's just a knowing for me.
Yeah. And the sense of smell is such a funny clair to have. I mean,
and I feel like it comes when you're not getting the message, then they'll throw you a smell like, come on, this is what I'm trying to say.
I know.
Yeah.
Usually it's, for me, it's like stale beer or cigarettes or somebody's dad just coming through. I'm like, oh man, take a bath.
Yeah.
Spiritual bath. I smell you now, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. All right. I want to talk a little bit about, because you're an author. So congratulations on your book. It's called Gypsy Heart Poetry. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
My second published, I did a collaborative piece 2 years before that with a group of authors called The Path of Awakening. And I did like a short story in there about being an empath. And that kind of sparked my interest in writing. I've always written things, I've always journaled, and I loved poetry. My mom wrote poetry and loved to read poetry. So I had a lot of things to say, and I had a journal written with poetry. So the author that did that book encouraged me to step out on my own. So I did create this journal. It's all my poetry, some of my photographs, because I do like to dabble in some photography. And, the pages have like journal prompts, like inspirational journal prompts that go with the poems in a lot of ways. But it's a very healing piece. And I liked it. I wanted to do something like this because I didn't want a book that people would just put down and put on a bookshelf and never pick up again.
Right.
So with the journal in it, I feel like you can refer back and use it for growth and healing. And just see, you know, it'd be fun to see after you've gone through something, where you were in that moment of your life. So yeah, so that was a very you know, raw piece for me, because I was very exposed, you know, putting poetry out. Poetry is all about the feeling of the author. You know, it does well, and it's, you know, you can get it Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and, you know, I do book signings occasionally where you can get a signed copy. But writing is you know, a therapy for me, so I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, it's so cathartic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
by the way, that's such a beautiful cover. I love. So bring it up again so we can see it again. How did you come to get to that cover? It's really beautiful.
Well, the name of my business is Gypsy Heart LLC.
Okay.
And I just felt like I was always a gypsy at heart. Like I just flipped from one thing to the next, you know, but in a good way, you know, and I just liked her free spirit. Like I consider myself a free spirit. And so it just reminded me of letting go and just being yourself. So, you know, we came up with the silhouette, and, you know, she's wearing the heart around her neck to tie everything in. And it was just a nice a cover, just simple.
It's
but
beautiful.
Yes.
It's a beautiful cover. So I have a copy of that, and it is on my bookshelf. I didn't write yet. Don't be mad.
That's okay.
But I write.
You write when you're ready. Yes.
Typically, I have so many tablets around. I'm a tablet girl. The legal notepad thing, and my writing is like, so I would rip right through that journal in like 2 seconds, you know. So, but it's really beautiful, and it feels good in your hands. I remember holding it, and it just feels really good. So kudos to you. Really good job. So many people say, oh, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're waiting.
Yes.
Get it out. But it takes courage. And
it does.
What is that? Brene Brown speaks about vulnerability, and you really put yourself out there when you do something like that. And vulnerability is courage, and it's such a beautiful thing. So congratulations.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. I want to talk to you about your other kids, your fur babies. So you have such a crazy cool connection with your bulldogs.
I do. I've always, and most empaths and, you know, sensitives are very attached to animals, as we know. And even as a child, my connection with animals I had, and, you know, a great thing about, you know, my family is they always let me have things that I wanted within reason. You know, if I wanted a guinea pig, they allowed it. A hamster, you know, parakeets. So I could experience the love of an animal. And I think that's so important when you have young kids, is to let them experience that. And so I've always had a connection to my animals. And I've always loved bulldogs. And I had one, and he passed suddenly. And that's what made me get into the rescue. So I do a lot of work with Bulldog rescue. So along came my SAMSON. He was a puppy. He was actually born in Colombia, and it was a big issue, and there were several litters. So I had taken him on, and I had gotten a new female puppy at the same time. So I had 2 puppy bulldogs. And then a year later, another male came about that was surrendered and needed a home immediately. So that's how I ended up with 3. 2 were rescues and 1 was a purchased puppy. But they are my world, my healing, my therapy, and my fur kids when my real kids aren't around. And it's just, you know, I live for them. You know, I don't do a lot of traveling because I don't want to leave them. And, you know, but what they've given me is so much more than I can ever give them. You know, it's just, if you have an animal and you know, when you know, you know. And again, all animals I love, but my 3 and I have a special bond. Yeah.
It is so special. If you all get a chance to look at, for those listening, get a chance and hop on Jen Carey's Facebook page. She has so many cool pictures of these dogs. They're just, oh my God, they just make me laugh. I look at the chops and
Yeah.
their faces are all squidged up. You just want to grab their cheeks and just smush them. You
Oh, I
know,
do.
they're just loving and adorable and bossy.
They are bossy.
They're so
And
bossy.
they are, and they have such big personalities, and every day is different. They rule me. They rule the roost here, and
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
and it's just every day is entertainment with them and love, of course.
That's cool. Now, listen, do you understand and have you looked up the spiritual symbolism connected with the bulldog?
No, I haven't.
Well, I have something for you.
Oh,
So I looked it up on, oh, now I have to, you know what? When I, in the description of this video, I'll pull the website that I got this off of,
okay.
so that people can go in and look it up as well, whatever their animal is. But there's something with you and the bulldog for sure. So
Really?
that's why I really wanted to go into it. So they say the bulldogs, I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
They say bulldog symbolism is reminding you to stick with your guns. It is safe for you to be stubbornly loyal and determined to do the right thing. However, bulldog meaning is also warning you that you must be careful that you are not taking on the roles of judge and jury. In other words, this spirit animal advises you that a subtle approach will get you much further. Alternatively, bulldog symbolism is letting you know that your opinions are valuable. However, you must be self-aware enough to make sure that you don't have a my mind's made up, don't confuse me with facts attitude. In particular, you must know yourself well, at least enough so that you are clear that there is no personal rivalry involved.
I
Isn't
love
that
that.
fascinating?
Makes perfect sense in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, I didn't know that they were connected to like that spiritually. I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. And that's spirits, like, you've got, look it up. There's symbolism here. There's symbolism. I'm like, okay. What is the name of the rescue place that you volunteer? So just to give them,
Mid-Atlantic, yes. Yeah, Mid-Atlantic Bulldog Rescue.
okay.
And they're out of the North Jersey at the shore, Belmar, New Jersey. And it's a great organization. They also work alongside of Long Island Bulldog from New York. Our rescue has done so many good things. None of our dogs ever go into a kennel. Surrenders go right into foster, and everybody is screened and interviewed, and they just care what happens to the dog. No expense spared. If a dog we take in needs a surgery, we provide it, and we save as many as we can. So it's a great organization.
Do they have a donation thing on their website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do. MidAtlanticBulldog.org.
Okay, so anybody who's interested in donating and or to help with the rescue of bulldogs, I'll make sure that that is put in also in the description, so people can check it out. And if they've got a few extra bucks to toss their direction, it's always good to help. For those that can't, just send positive, loving energy that direction. For those that have the money extra, please throw a few bucks that direction, so that they can have all the help that they need in keeping these babies good and alive and in good situations. Right?
Yes, thank you.
So I'm just gonna dig in. So you are, so you're no stranger to change. Where do you pull your strength from when you've had to start over?
Well, so many sources. Of course, when you're in your lowest, you don't know where you're going to find it. But I've always, I thank the path I'm on, first and foremost, because without my spiritual backing or my spiritual team behind me, I don't know if I would have gotten this far so fast. But, the love I have for my kids, has, really drug me along at times, because sometimes you feel like you're just crawling And I've always been a strong person. I've always been a fighter. And, I believe that, sometimes, life just throws you curveballs and you don't know where you're going to go with it. And I also believe that people come into your life at the exact time you need them, just like people exit your life when their season is over.
Mhm.
And, my spirituality, my soul sisters, my close circle of friends, my children, my family, and then, my boyfriend was thrown into my world at the right time when my confidence was shot. It was just universal timing. And that's how I knew I was, the universe kept throwing me things, keep going, so I just followed the little crumbs of, to where I am now. And so it was a combination, but between my inner strength and the love I have for the people in my life. And that just kept me marching forward, drudging forward.
Nice.
And I was always one back in, my weaker moments. I was the Eeyore, why me? Why is this happening to me? But my spirituality, and I'm sure you can attest, it makes you, it flips the script on how you think about things. It was like, why is this happening to me? It's like, this is a lesson, so I took everything that happened as a lesson. And we all have accountability in our, reasons we fall apart or the reasons thing didn't work out. And I took my own accountability to my part in things and healed that part of me. And I think that's allowed me to move forward in this direction, in this place, and this place of peace. And that's not saying I don't still have bad days, because I do. I think when you have that trust and love in your spirit team and know that they have your back, that's what gets you where you need to be.
Yeah, you feel like you're in a really cool space, energetically speaking. So when I ask spirit these different questions and stuff, like where are we going with stuff? I don't dig into you. I'm very respectful. I don't read you, but I ask them to let me know where to go, because I think it's ethically inappropriate to dig into somebody else's space without permission. So one of the things, after I wrote that question down, they showed me this vision. I'm a real movie person. And
Right.
they showed me this vision of a scene in Moonstruck when I love Olympia Dukakis, and when she's in the kitchen and somebody just sitting down, pardon me for disturbing you, I'm not disturbed by you. She says, and that just, they're like, they showed me you and they showed me that scene. I'm like, oh my God, that's hysterical.
Yes.
Because it feels like you can't really get to me now. Like all that stuff's done. I'm done with that now. And that's what it feels like. So good for you. Yeah. You should be
eyes forward. My motto through it all were, I kept saying eyes forward. There's no reason to keep looking back in the mirror. It's just about going forward now. So
yeah. If you could pull one aspect or one piece of technology out of our lives, what would it be and why?
As far as like TV and stuff,
like would you pull the internet away? Would you pull phones away? Would you pull TV away? Would you pull...
TV? I think TV is poison. The news and how they just I don't really watch. My boyfriend and I will watch Seinfeld reruns or an occasional Netflix show, but I think TV is toxic at times, and TV can make you live in fear. I feel like, the internet, you can be a little more selective, but when you're flicking through the TV, it's always doom and gloom and stress and worry and arguments and fighting and opposing sides. It's just bad. Now, the internet can be that way too, but I feel like you can filter it more yourself. But TV and the news, I feel like is just toxic.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And it scares our elders so much, and they sit
and our kids our kids are living in fear, because they're glued to the TV.
Next question. Do you feel constricted or restricted with what you can say?
As running my business?
Just in general?
No, not anymore.
Good.
No, I used to, before I came out of the closet as a psychic medium. I was very restricted, and I was very filtered. And, I won't hurt people's feelings, but I will, speak my truth. Yes.
Yeah, I just, yeah, I'm like, I'm not sure why you're having me ask that, but I found it interesting. And it felt like a filter, and filter's gone, but
Hmm.
not in a bad way, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So you have a special relationship with coffee.
Oh, gosh. Yes, I do. I even do a weekend little morning live on my my Facebook group, Coffee and Cards. Yes, coffee. And yeah, I drink almost a pot a day by myself, in the morning. It just relaxes me. It starts my day. It's sometimes in the evening I have a cup. And again, that's kind of a relatively new thing, my kids were young when I started drinking coffee, never drank it, growing up. But
Mm.
yeah, I feel like it just kind of grounds me.
It's
No pun
something we
intended.
have in common. I absolutely love coffee as well, but it's weird when I'm doing an interview or when I'm doing a reading, I have to have a cup of tea with me. And I don't know what that's about, but whatever that is.
Mm.
So describe your favorite moment or scenario when you drink coffee.
I feel like I'm very productive when I drink coffee, believe it or not. I'll make a to-do list for the day. I, kind of pep myself up with inspirational music, or I put music on my, I don't want to say her name, Alexea, because she's right here, but, I'll send out emails. I feel like coffee is a connection to getting my day started. So whether it's crossing things off the to-do list, or working on my business, or answering emails, it gives me a sense of being productive.
I love that. It's
Mhm,
part of the routine, and it's so
mhm,
cool, right?
mhm.
All right, why do you think this baffles me? And I'm very anxious to hear your answer on this. Why do you think or believe people try to overpower others? Like men over women, or women over men, or religion over spirituality, or vice versa. Why do you believe people try to overpower others?
Ego. I think ego is a big thing. And, you know, it's balancing that ego versus spirit. Some people try to, use their ego to intimidate or make people follow along or believe in certain things. And it could go hand in hand with like a bullying mentality, but I think a lot of people have such big egos that they don't like to be wrong. They don't like to be last. They don't like to be not heard. And so they kind of force their opinions and attitudes on other people. So I think ego has a big part in, you know, it can be your enemy. It
Mhm.
could cause you to lose friends and relationships. And that's why it's so important to keep your ego in check.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think we
Yeah.
need it somewhat, but I think there are situations where you just kind of look at the situation and go, wow,
Mhm.
really?
Yeah, it's all about you have to balance.
Yeah,
Yes, ego is necessary in so many things, but it's creating that balance to not try to force opinions on others.
yeah. All right. So what's something about you that people don't know that would surprise them?
Hmm. Well, I love music, and I have taken guitar lessons over the years. It's something that, I was very musical growing up. I played like 3 instruments all through school, from elementary through high school. I was the band geek. I was in concert band, marching band, stage band, and I loved it. I was such a rebel in high school, but I had this secret band nerd kind of personality, and music has always calmed me and brought me peace. And a few years ago, I bought a guitar. It was an instrument I never knew how to play and wanted to learn. And occasionally I dabble back in that, you know, um, and I'm not good, but it's comforting, and it's, to make the chords and to just strum, it's very grounding and soothing for me. So not a lot of people know that until they come over and they see guitars around.
Mhm.
Um, and like everything else, crystals and cards, I collect guitars. So people see my guitars and say, I didn't know you played. Well, that's because I'm not really good. And it's just something personal that I do for me.
Something for you. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
So there have been so many major life changes for you. What has made the biggest impact on you as a woman, and what advice would you give to women going through similar things?
Well, I was married for 30 years and went through a divorce. And I think there's kind of like a stigma, when you're in your 50s and, your life changes in that way, that's it. You're done, you're going to live alone and love is not possible again. And, you're just going to, go from day to day. And I think, it's the opposite. You can find love again. You can live your life. You can reinvent yourself. You can find parts of yourself that you might have stifled while raising a family or living in a marriage. And I found that to be true with me. There were pieces of myself for no reason. I mean, nobody stifled that in me. It's just that you kind of get into a routine. And, I reinvented myself in all ways. Physically, I went blonder, I lost weight. I went to the gym, but also emotionally, I healed a lot of wounds from my past.
Mhm.
Spiritually, I dove deeper into my work. And, I networked with new people and found new friendships and rekindled old ones and found love again. So I think there's a stigma on when you have that major life change that's it. You're done. You're
Yeah,
destined to be by yourself. And that's not true.
yeah,
It's all about your mindset. You can live in the poor me, or you can choose to step out there and manifest what you want.
yeah. And
Mhm.
I know why they brought this to the forefront, because I'm also in my 50s, and but I've never been married. But I have so many women friends and colleagues that have gone through exactly what you've gone through. They, 20, 25, 30 years, sometimes a little more. And it's like, you know what? Okay, well, all right, we're done. And not done necessarily in a bad way,
Right,
but it's time for
right.
me to do
That phase of
me.
my
And
life is over.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can go do you, and I get to do me finally. And whew, yeah. And
And
don't
that's great if you want to just do you, but if you want to find that love again, it is there and you shouldn't live under that roof of like, that's it for you in the love department.
right, exactly. And I think it's very important, like what you went through, like to heal you first, so that you
Hmm.
can make space for what came next. And for
Right.
you, love came next. And I think that's so beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
cool.
Yes.
Okay. If you could be anywhere in the world and do what you want, where would it be and what would you do? Say the no kids, no pets, just you. If you would be anywhere in the world, what would you do and where would you be?
Okay. I have a dream trip to go to Iceland. And, it's on my bucket list. Um, I just think it would have a spiritual meaning for me in so many ways. Just the beauty of the black sand beaches, the northern lights is what really, brings me there. And to be in the presence and stand under the northern lights, I think would be a spiritual awakening for me.
Mm,
And just, and it's not that I have, it's not, I don't have a plan to go, but even if I were to travel there alone, I think I would be okay. I just have always been drawn to Iceland, and I do have, in my DNA, some Nordic roots. But I think that Iceland would just change me in a lot of ways. Just the beauty and to be surrounded by the energy of the Northern Lights and the animals and the wildlife and, the people. I feel drawn to that. And someday I'm going to make it happen.
mm. Have you ever seen that movie, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh my God. If you if you love Iceland, the videography in that movie is amazing. You are just it's
Right.
going to inspire and pull you in that direction. Highly recommend you see that. If you don't see anything else,
Oh, I would.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, not the original from way back, but the one that Ben Stiller did. There's a particular moment in that movie that I want you to pay attention to, and it's one that sticks in my mind, my heart, and it's when it's a helicopter scene. I won't ruin it for you, but there's a moment where somebody's playing guitar behind him and singing, and there's a helicopter moment. And I want you to pay attention to that moment and how that makes you feel. So I challenge everybody else out there to see that movie. If you could choose a healing power aside from Reiki, what would it be? Like a superpower, what would it be?
That's a tough one because there's a lot. I think I have a lot of connection with mental health issues. And I think if I had a superpower to ease people's minds and to help them kind of see who they really are and see, what beautiful people they really are, I think I would kind of have the superpower to heal minds and bring life back into people that don't believe themselves.
In the event that I was just in, I'm finding it more and more. The people that are coming to me are the sensitives, and they're overwhelmed by the energy of everything that is so fast and so loud at the moment that they don't know what to do with themselves. And they tend to go in the cave to try to block it all out. But the idea is to, exactly what you're saying, is to pull them out of it so that they can do what they need to do. And that happened several times this past weekend. So it's really, really amazing. It's amazing stuff. So that's cool. It's a secret superpower, but it's doable, It's
doable. Yes, it is very doable.
So when I sat with Spirit in this, in the meditation, checking in on what we need to talk about or what questions to ask, I felt a connection to Native American, like shaman medicine. They kept taking me to shaman medicine. So the healer in you is very prominent right now. And they kept saying shaman medicine. And I saw moccasins. It's weird. I saw moccasins and I wanted to go, I know you're northeast, but I wanted to go over west a little bit, not far, but west a little bit. So I don't know what connection there is for you there. Do you ever feel that, or do you sense that?
Well, I was always told that my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, had some Native American in her. And she always told stories about the Native Americans, and she loved being a part of that. And so, yes, I do have that connection. And I always felt that with her because she was very much about the remedies, the home remedies for things. Like she used to put tea on my earaches and potatoes in my socks for a fever. And she always had like a home remedy. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And one of my oldest, dearest is a shaman, and she went through and she is a shaman. She does a lot of the herbal stuff. So I do have a lot of that around me, and it's very interesting to me. And I love the principles of shamanism. So yes, it makes a lot of sense to me. And the healing aspect of it too. Yes.
Right. I feel what they're showing me as I wrote that down, they're like, yep, bring that up for her, because she needs to pay more attention to that. And I'm like, okay, well, but what if, nope, they're like, nope, shaman healer, and shaman medicine, and the grandmother does the alchemy. There's something about that. And I'm glad that you feel it. I'm glad that there's a little validation there. Now, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but what would you say brings you peace?
Living near the water brings me peace. The ocean has always been, like, some people like to walk through the woods, and I do enjoy that too, but being near the water brings me peace. It's very grounding for me. Of course, being with my dogs brings me peace. They never judge, they always love. But I feel like being near the ocean for me is a necessary thing. It just is very grounding, and it creates a sense of peace for me.
Do the dogs go to the beach with you ever, or?
They do enjoy walking on the beach. Yes. I can't take all three of them at once because if you can imagine, you've seen the pictures, it's very chaotic here. So, you know, I have to have someone with me to walk them. And I do occasionally take one at a time down there, but they do enjoy the beach as well. Yes.
That's funny. I feel like when they're done, like taking them to the beach, but when they're done, they're done. Take me home, Mom.
They're done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't take much to wear them out.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yes.
can relate. Those little legs, you know, just short little legs. I can relate to that.
And the puppy. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
If you could sit down and have a one-on-one with anyone, who would it be and what would you want to talk about? Living or dead?
My grandmother.
Mm.
She's in the spirit world.
Mhm.
She had such a big impact on me. She, you know, raised me. I idolized her, and I wish I could tell her more. I think she'd be very proud of me, like stepping out into this direction, even though it wasn't talked about when she was in the physical world.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of this would interest her in so many ways. And it would be nice to hear that again from somebody that I trusted completely and utterly, that, you know, way to go. You know, sometimes you just want that from someone in spirit. So it would definitely be her. You know, there's all those things that if you could sit on a bench with anyone, and it always will be her.
Is that grandma on mom's side or dad's side?
Mom's side. I don't know anybody from my father's side. I don't know my father. So
Okay.
yeah, it's maternal grandmother.
Nice. Strong
Yeah.
women. Yeah. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to step into one of my favorite parts about this getting to know you series. So I always let people know that one of my favorite shows has always been Inside the Actor Studio. Maybe because I'm such a movie person, I don't know, that's how I got started. But there is a questionnaire at the end of James Lipton interviewing his guests, and this is done at Pace College. So there's actors, student actors in the audience, right? So he'll go through his interview,
Right.
and then he'll go through this this questionnaire. So we're going to do that. It is by the questionnaire originated by Bernard Prévost, who used it on apostrophes. He was a French journalist, so it was on a show that he did it on. And James Lipton kind of made it his own. Very basic, very simple. So with your permission, we'll begin.
Yeah.
What is your favorite word?
Peace.
What is your least favorite word?
Stress.
What turns you on?
An honest soul.
What turns you off?
Liars.
What sound or noise do you love?
The ocean.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Tears, crying, sobbing.
What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Yoga instructor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then if heaven exists, what would you like to hear when you arrive at the pearly gates?
What would I like to hear at the pearly gates? I would like to hear all the loved ones that I've lost and all the animals. I would love to hear their voices and their sounds. That's what I would like to hear.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's it in a bag of chips. All right, Miss Jen, I just want to say thank you so much for being a guest here, for taking the time, for sharing your knowledge, for putting yourself out there in a way that people feel like they can connect with you, because you're just you and I'm just me, and we just happen to do the things we do. And it can be a little intimidating to some people, but I like how attainable you are. I like how down to earth you are. And I think it helps people to be able to reach out to you just a little bit easier.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, I try to be
that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And this is an honor, and thank you. I'm just very honored that you asked me.
Absolutely. So what I want to do before we head out, I want to go over, you are all over socials, like all the
Yes.
social media. You crack me up. I do research, and I'm like, okay, where is she? I'm like, whoa, she's over there. She's there. She's there. She's there. She's there. You're everywhere. So instead of
Yeah.
me writing everything down, I'm going to ask you, let people know where you're at on your social media. And then just follow that up with what events you have coming up, and or classes that you have coming up, because I know you teach. So go through that, and then everybody, all of this information will be placed in the description, in the description section of this video. So you'll be able to just click on a link and be able to go right to Jen. If she's got a class going on, their link will be there, and then you can just click on that and it'll take you right there. So I'll leave you the floor.
I think the best way to get me or to see the list of my offerings is my website, which is simply jennifercairo.com, which is my married name. And you'll have the spelling of that, jennifercairo.com. And I do have Facebook social media for both my poetry page. It's Gypsy Heart Poetry on Facebook. And I have a private group on Facebook that I like to do all things spiritual. It's Jennifer Carey at Gypsy Heart on Facebook. It is a private group, but if you would like to join it, all you have to do is click and I'll let you in. It just keeps spammers out to keep it private. I do weekly lives there where I do card pulls. It has a list of classes and services, and we just share memes, and it's just a safe place for like-minded people. I have a TikTok. I said I would never do it, but I did a TikTok. What have I become? I do have Jennifer Carey Cairo is my username on Instagram, and that is my business page on Instagram. I have some private events coming up in October. I'm waiting on dates to do some evening with spirits around here locally, so that will also be updated on my website. And I do teach Reiki in early November, first weekend in November. I'm doing a Reiki 1 and 2. I do Ursui Holy Fire. I do have a Chakra Basics class on September 28th. That's via Zoom. And that is registration is on my website for all of these. I have a Pendulum Basics class on October 10th and an Intro to Oracle Cards on October 15th. Registration on my website. I do a development circle every 2 weeks, which is a great way to have like-minded people come, no experience necessary. We just practice some psychometry. We try to sharpen our intuition. It's a fun, safe place for people that have maybe thought they were intuitive to come join. And, it's a no judgment zone. So we just do some fun exercises and have discussions and meditations. So there's one coming up on September 19th, October 2nd, and October 16th. So again, that's everything through October. And my website is updated weekly. With both my Schedule 4 readings. I do readings in person and via Zoom, and the classes are in person and via Zoom as well, and noted on the website.
And they can register for those classes on which website?
jennifercairo.com.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Man, you are one busy cookie.
Yes, I am. I got my hands in everything.
That's awesome. I love it. And I love how much you're out there, and that people can reach you and they can learn and be a part of stuff. I think it's really, really cool. So all of that stuff, guys, everything, I will make sure in the edits, I will make sure that all of her socials will be listed in the description page of this video. And then my stuff will be on there too. Mediumshipbypicasso.com is where you can get my website. That's my site. You can book a private reading with me. We can do it private in person, or we can do it on Zoom. Whatever you want to do is okay. I do parties, so you can book me for that as well. And my events coming up, that will be on there also. I have a really cool, we call them gallery events, and it's mediumship demonstration. But Evening with Spirit, it's the same thing, gallery events, spirit demonstration. you get messages that are just so cool and so beautiful. And I've got one on the 23rd of September, and I've got one on the 30th of September. You can go to my site, and I've put some blasts out about that. So it will be also in the description area of this video, and then Facebook. So I only have 3. I haven't done the whole TikTok thing. I think
Come
by the
on, you
time
would
I
make some
learn,
great TikToks. You would do some great TikTok, Picasso, with your personality. You got to get yourself a TikTok. I'm going to
uh,
wait for that.
that's where everybody keeps saying, but I'm like, oh my God, is that another password? Do I have to do another
Yes,
password?
Picasso. Yes.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, you're killing me with the passwords. All right. So, all right. So that's for everybody. Again, I want to thank you for coming, Jen, and being a part of this. And it's going to be a blast. I know when I post this, they're going to be like, oh my God, there she
Can't
is.
wait. Can't wait.
All right. Yay. Thank you so much. So, hey, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe when you see this on my channel. Subscribing is not going to kill you. It doesn't cost anything. It's safe. It's not going to make you have a bunch of crazy spam emails and things like that. Just subscribe. And then that way this community grows and we get to share more stuff, and it's a lot of fun. So do that and share, so all this information gets out there for everybody, because you never know that what came across, what Jen might have said or what I might have said might be good for you, but it also might be good for your neighbor or your friend, or some family member that might be feeling down. Give people hope, and I think that's really important. All right. So everybody behave, because I don't have bail money. Okay. Peace out.
Namaste. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Picasso.